Okay, here we are on chapter 8. And if you remember in chapter 7, the girls now have kittens. But someone is not happy about it. In fact, someone doesn't know about it. Okay, so chapter 8. There is great commotion in the large house. Sebastian had just shown the tutor into the study on the following morning when there came another and very loud ring at the bell, which Sebastian ran quickly to answer. Only Herr Seaman rings like that, he said to himself. He must have returned home unexpectedly. He pulled open the door, and there in front of him he saw a ragged little boy carrying a hand organ on his back. "What's the meaning of this?" said Sebastian angrily. "I'll teach you to ring bells like that. What do you want here?" "I want to see Clara," the boy answered. "You dirty, good-for-nothing little rascal. Can't you be polite enough to say Miss Clara? What do you want with her?" continued Sebastian roughly. "She owes me 4 pence, explained the boy. "You must be out of your mind. And how do you know that any young lady of that name lives here?" "She owes me 2 pence for showing her the way there, and 2 pence for showing her the way back." "See what a pack of lies you are telling. The young lady never goes out, cannot even walk. Be off, and get back to where you came from before I have to help you along." But the boy was not to be frightened away. He remained standing and said in a determined voice, "But I saw her in the street and can describe her to you. She has short, curly black hair and black eyes and wears a brown dress and does not talk quite like we do." "Oh ho," thought Sebastian, laughing to himself. "The little miss has evidently been up to more mischief." Then, drawing the boy inside, he said aloud, "I understand now. Come with me and wait outside the door till I tell you to go in. Be sure you begin playing your organ the instant you get inside the room. The lady is very fond of music." Sebastian knocked at the study door, and a voice said, "Come in." "There is a boy outside who says he must speak to Miss Clara herself," Sebastian announced. Clara was delighted at such an extraordinary and unexpected message. "Let him come in at once," replied Clara. "He must come in, must he not?" she added, turning to her tutor, "if he wishes so particularly to see me." The boy was already inside the room and, according to Sebastian's directions, immediately began to play his organ. Fräulein Rottenmeier, wishing to escape the ABC, had retired with her work to the dining room. All at once she stopped and listened. Did those sounds come up from the street? And yet they seemed so near. But how could there be an organ playing in the study? And yet it surely was so. She rushed to the other end of the long dining room and tore open the door. She could barely believe her eyes. There in the middle of the study stood a ragged boy, turning away at his organ in the most energetic manner. The tutor appeared to be making efforts to speak, but his voice could not be heard. Both children were listening delightedly to the music. Leave off at once!" screamed Fräulein Rottenmeier, but her voice was drowned by the music. She was making a dash for the boy when she saw something on the ground crawling towards her feet. A dreadful dark object, a tortoise! At this sight, she jumped higher than she had for many long years before, shrieking with all her might, "Sebastian! Sebastian!" The organ player suddenly stopped, for this time her voice had risen louder than the music. Sebastian was standing outside, bent double with laughter, for he had been peeping to see what was going on. By the time he entered the room, Fräulein Rottenmeier had sunk into a chair. "Take them all out, boy and animal. Get them away at once," she commanded him. Sebastian pulled the boy away, the latter having quickly caught up the tortoise, and when he had got him outside, he put something into his hand. "There is the 4 pence from Miss Clara, and another 4 pence for the music. You did it all quite right." And with that, he shut the front door upon him. Quietness reigned again in the study, and lessons began once more. Fräulein Rottenmeier now took up her station in the study in order by her presence to prevent any further dreadful goings-on. But soon another knock came to the door, and Sebastian again stepped in. this time to say that someone had brought a large basket with orders that it was to be given at once to Miss Clara. "For me?" said Clara in astonishment, her curiosity very much excited. "Bring it in at once that I may see what it is like." Sebastian carried in a large covered basket and retired. "I think the lessons had better be finished first before the basket is unpacked," said Fraulein Rottenmeier. Clara could not conceive what was in it and cast long glances toward it. In the middle of one of her declensions, she suddenly broke off and said to the tutor, "Mayn't I just give one peep inside to see what is in it before I go on?" "On some considerations I am for it, on others against it," he began in answer. "For it, on the ground that if your whole attention is directed to the basket—" But the speech remained unfinished. The cover of the basket was loose, and at this moment 1, 2, 3, and then 2 more, and again more kittens came suddenly tumbling onto the floor and racing about the room in every direction, and with such indescribable rapidity that it seemed as if the whole room was full of them. They jumped over the tutor's boots, bit at his trousers, climbed up Fraulein Rottenmeier's dress, rolled about her feet, sprang up onto Clara's couch, scratching, scrambling, and mewing. It was a sad scene of confusion. Clara, meanwhile, pleased with her gambols, kept on exclaiming, "Oh, the dear little things, how pretty they are! Look, Heidi, at this one. Look at that one over there." And Heidi, in her delight, kept running after them, first into one corner and then into the other. The tutor stood up by the table, not knowing what to do, lifting first his right foot and then his left to get it away from the scrambling, scratching kittens. Fraulein Rottenmeier was unable at first to speak at all. So overcome was she with horror that she did not dare rise from her chair for fear that all the dreadful little animals should jump upon her at once. At last she found her voice to call loudly, "Tinette! Tinette! Sebastian! Sebastian!" They came in answer to her summons and gathered up the kittens. By degrees they got them all inside the basket again and then carried them off to put with the other 2. Today again there had been no opportunity for gaping. Late that evening, when Fraulein Rottenmeier had somewhat recovered from the excitement of the morning, she sent for the 2 servants and examined them closely concerning the events of the morning, and then it came out that Heidi was at the bottom of them, everything being the result of her excursion of the day before. Fraulein Rottenmeier sat pale with indignation and did not know at first how to express her anger. Then she made a sign to Tinette and Sebastian to withdraw, and turning to Heidi, who was standing by Clara's couch, quite unable to understand of what sin she had been guilty, began in a severe voice. "Adelaide, I know of only one punishment which will perhaps make you alive to your ill conduct, for you are an utter little barbarian. But we will see if we cannot tame you so that you shall not be guilty of such deeds again, by putting you in a dark cellar with the rats and black beetles." Well, Heidi listened in silence and surprise to her sentence, for she had never seen a cellar such as was now described. The place known at her grandfather's as the cellar, where the fresh-made cheeses and the new milk were kept, was a pleasant and inviting place. Neither did she know at all what rats and black beetles were like. But now Clara interrupted in great distress. "No, no, Fraulein Rottenmeier, you must wait till Papa comes. He has written to say that he will be home soon, and then I will tell him everything, and he will say what is to be done with Heidi." Fraulein Rottenmeier could not do anything against this superior authority, especially as the father was really expected very shortly. She rose and said with some displeasure, "As you will, Clara, but I, too, shall have something to say to Herr Sesemann." And with that, she left the room. And we'll finish chapter 8 tomorrow. We'll see what Herr Sesemann has to say. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.